When it comes to Northern Monk, I feel I'm pretty much an expert after the recent IPA, best IPA in supermarkets from Northern Monk. But now we're going off-piste, and by off-piste I mean we're going to Northern Monk, but this is their patrons project, available only in bottle shops. This is Moonshake Design. It's an IPA, but what's it going to be like? Keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to Northern Monk, as I said in the intro, and this is part of their patrons project. Now, I'm almost got to the point where I was sort of pretty much fed up with Northern Monk beers. I've drank quite a lot of them over the last sort of month or so for this, picking out the best Northern Monk beer. By the time this video goes out, it's probably going to be after I've announced the winner, so I'm not going to say anything in this, just in case you haven't. But check out the videos, all of those ones I did, like quarterfinal, semi-final, final. And yeah, at the end of it, I found that they're all very similar. But what Northern Monk have, they have a supermarket range of beers, of which they have quite a comprehensive range. But they also have their own sort of stuff that you get from the bottle shops or direct from Northern Monk. And this is one of those. It's a patrons project. It's called Moonshake Design. It says it's homebrew heroes. So I think what it is some home brewers have made a beer in conjunction with Northern Monk, or there was a competition or something and they put it forward. But this is a hazy IPA at 6.7%. But the real attraction was, I think these are the three really great hops. Nectaron, which seems to be the hop of the moment. Enigma, which is a personal favourite of mine. It's the sort of Australian version of Nelson to some extent. And then Nelson itself, Nelson Sauvin. So we've got three really great hops, very much on that sort of New Zealand, Australian, obviously Southern Hemisphere themed. And it's a Northern Monk patrons projects, which are a touch above the rest. We've got this, all these patrons projects type of beers, you get this sort of wrap, which always looks good, really. And there's lots of stuff on here. It says their 5th homebrew heroes and maybe the best standard of submissions we've ever had. So obviously these are submissions to get this in. I'll read a few of them. Actually, I'll do the drinking first, and then great. I mean, there's so much to unpack with this. I really do enjoy these sort of cans where you can read a bit more and you feel like you get a little bit more value for money. But ultimately what happens is that you've got to actually drink the beer and make sure it's good. I do like this artwork. It's quite distinctive. It's got this nice metallic, you see the way the light hits it. It's got this metallic sort of element to it. But ultimately, let's crack it open, stop waffling, start drinking. Because really the other reason why I wanted to drink this one, even though I've done a lot of Northern Monks recently, was that obviously, I've tasted quite a few recently. And I thought, well, if I drink this now, let's see if there is a real difference between the beers you get from Northern Monk in the supermarkets and the beers that you get from the bottle shop, the direct ones. The one you're going to pay a little bit more for. I think this was I'm trying to think what it was now. I'm not sure. I think it may be just under £6. So a fair bit more than you pay in a supermarket, but let's see if the quality is up there. Well, beer in a glass, I think that looks pretty damn good. Bright yellow, almost to the custard colour, thick, fairly hazy, 2 fingers, just off white, I would say, but fairly compacted head. So far, so good. Let's see what the aroma's like. Yeah, it's quite a sort of dank weediness to it. There is peach, but it's not as bright as I would expect. Enigma can have that sort of, I mean, Enigma's, usually it's described as white grape like Nelson Sauvin, but there's usually a little bit more dankness about it. It's less sort of bright than Nelson Sauvin. Nelson Sauvin's a lot more, sort of brings a lot of sort of lemons and grapefruits as well, where Enigma's a little bit more danker. It's more sort of, I suppose it's got a similarity sometimes with, say, Mosaic. It's got a slight red berry tinge to it. So maybe it's more like red grape than white grape. Yeah, definitely a very sort of weedy, dank aroma. But there is that grape, that New Zealand-esque stuff in there. A little bit herbal, a little bit peppery, a little savoury, I suppose. But anyway, let's tuck in. Cheers, everyone. Oh, Yeah, that is dank. A very dank flavour. Smooth body. It's smooth, but it's still quite light. It seems to be a theme recent things that about light beers, IPAs, even at 6.8%, they all seem a bit light. And I'm thinking it's maybe not the beer, it's more about me and the fact that you've had a few double IPAs, you've had a certain type of brewery, and I think especially recently the Verdant and Beak mouthfeel was really good on those. Maybe that's just that a lot of the other breweries are not doing it. But it's soft, it's smooth, flavour wise. You get hit with this sort of tart. It's a difficult one to describe. It's a weediness. It's a weedy, dank flavour. Over-ripened fruits. You're getting like real sharpness and a real rind of grapefruit coming through. But you're also getting other fruity flavours in there, which are also quite sharp and quite dank. So it's almost over-ripened, or you're getting a lot of the peel, and you're not getting the bitterness of citrus fruits. That's what you get. There is grape in there, but it's quite mellow, really. It's not. Nelson Sauvin isn't a big hitter in this. I think that the Enigma is doing quite a lot of stuff, because there is the grapeness, but there isn't that brightness. It's quite a different beer than a lot of the IPAs that I review in here. There's a different flavour. It's still pleasant, but you get this sort of almost dry grapefruit flavour that sort of get quite a big hit of that, and dankness generally. And then as the dankness sort of eases down a little bit, what you're left with is a real sharp, dry bitterness and really the flavour is that grapefruit. If you've ever had it's a long time since I've ever had I don't know about, as much as I like fruit flavours, I'm not a massive fruit eater. And it just reminds me of those times where if you're on holiday and you have a grapefruit. This is going back probably to the 80s, but you go on holiday, you have for breakfast, and they'll have a grapefruit, half a grapefruit, and you'll just eat that grapefruit, and it's like, so it's really tart, and it's almost very bitter. Because grapefruits are one of those things that I don't think it's a fruit that you should eat on its own. It's just a bit weird, really. It's just too strong flavour. But anyway, that's the flavour that you're getting with this. You're getting that real fresh grapefruit, and you get that flavour that just really sort of coats the mouth. Big hits of grapefruit. I'm not sure that Nectaron really gives that, because I think Nectaron, you get some brighter, sort of almost like peachy sort of flavours, as well as a sort of mixture of New Zealand and citrus fruits. But with this, that dankness, that grapefruit flavour is almost, I tell you what, it's almost like it's something like Equinox, which is a prickly sort of grapefruit flavour. It's very, very dominant in this. But it's quite different than anything I've tasted before. Yeah, you've had slight hints of it, but it's almost like this was a grapefruit infused beer, because the grapefruit is so dominant in flavour. With these free hops, you'd expect a little bit more complexity, but I'm not really getting them. So let's summarise. You're getting this sort of sweaty dankness up front. You're left with this dry, sharp zest, bitterness of grapefruit, fresh grapefruit flavours. And that sticks around quite a lot. It coats the mouth, coats the flavour, the back of the mouth, in terms of the taste buds and everything, and you're getting that flavour, and it dries out your mouth quite a lot. So you have some more, and you get a big hit of grapefruit. I think this is one of those sort of beers that you either love it or you won't like it. For me, it's very sharp, and it almost is so dry that I need something else to sort of to get that hit of flavour, really. I'm just getting too much of just pure grapefruit flavour. But it's an interesting brew, and it's interesting because we're doing a lot of IPAs that look like this on the channel, and I do sometimes think, God, they all start to taste the same. But this is quite different. So yeah, an interesting little experiment. Difficult to tell whether I think it's going to be. I would recommend it, and I think some people will really like it. But some people might find it's almost getting to that point where the dry bitterness is a little bit too much than what they expect from a New Zealand, or from New Zealand, from a New England IPA, I should say. But yeah, let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for. This is Moonshake Design. I always with a lot of these, I always think, there's about 4 different names. So it could be Homebrew. It's a Homebrew Heroes Moonshake Design. I think that's the full name. Let's go through the scores. I'll move over here and I'll start with aroma, appearance, flavour, value for money, and finally, my overall experience. Tighten the scores up. It's recommended, but it's sort of low to middle. Final score. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a beer that some people will really love, but a lot of people won't like it. And I think for me, I like it more because it's different than a lot of beers I've tasted. I had a different expectation of what I thought it was going to taste like, and I'm not getting that. But it's different to have a New England IPA, knowing that there's New England IPAs that aren't all starting to taste the same. They're all hazy, juicy stuff. This has got quite some different stuff going on, even though the hops, maybe we don't see those 3 hops together. I don't think I've ever had a beer with those 3 hops together. But with those hops, you have a certain expectation, and we go in a slightly different way. You're getting more flavours. And I think that's down to, great crafting of the beer itself. So let me know what you think of, if you've had this Northern Monk beer. Let me know what you think of patrons projects. I mean, are you a big supermarket beer drinker and a bottle shop beer drinker like I am, and you've had Northern Monk and it puts you off buying stuff like this because you think this is going to be like your, Tropical World, or your, I don't know, one of the Faith in Future? Because obviously this is called, this is patrons project, not Faith in the Futures. But obviously Faith in the Futures has got a narrative around that. You think that this is going to be just like it. There is definitely a step up in quality, as you'd expect when you're paying, 50% more than you pay in the supermarkets. But let me know if that puts you off Northern Monk buying them in bottle shops like this. Would you pay £6 for a Northern Monk beer knowing that you can buy it for £3 in a supermarket? Let me know in the comments. And until the next one, well, please like it, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the thumbs up button, all helps. But let me know in the comments what you think of this Northern Monk supermarket versus other Northern Monk bottle shop stuff. Do you buy much stuff? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And until the next one, you know what you do. Drink good craft beer and keep on rocking.